All right, what's going on, y'all? So welcome to another episode of Full Circle Podcast. It is your favorite brother, Joseph, as always. And I just got back from vacation. And that was a very, very much needed vacation after, geez, man, like I was probably, let me think. I haven't been on vacation until last week, since October of last year. So go figure on that one. But I just want to talk to y'all a little bit about slowing down. And this is very counterintuitive for somebody like me who loves to work. I was trying to record this podcast while I was there just because some stuff got out of hand in the studio with time. And I actually realized that sometimes you can burn out while trying to build something. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Before we do, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you who is subscribing. We've been getting a lot more subscriptions on YouTube. The follower count on social media, specifically on TikTok, has been going up. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been favoriting this video, on TikTok, who's been liking the videos, commenting, sharing, and following, as well as the new subscribers that we have been getting. I mean, all of that means so much to me and all of us here at Full Circle. And I just want to say thank y'all so much for that, because you guys are really encouraging me to continue to put this content out there, which, by the way, if you're watching this right now, you haven't subscribed, you haven't done any of that, I just want to stop you right now. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing, right? Go ahead, hit that follow button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and go ahead and comment on our posts. We really love to hear from you. It is always free to support a nigga, as I say, unless you want to do more. So getting right into what I want to talk about today, I'm very much a person who enjoys moving and staying busy. I'm very much a person who likes to keep myself going, even when it seems like I've got a lot of stuff on the calendar. And sometimes a vacation, to me, it doesn't always bring about thoughts of calm. Oftentimes, I can think to myself, what do I need to do while I'm resting or on vacation? And when I finally took this trip to Mexico with my friends, it was something so interesting because I had realized how much I wanted a vacation, but I was always telling myself, when I get all this stuff done, X, Y, and Z stuff done, it just was something that I realized I just didn't have time for. At least that's what I thought to myself, right? But as we brought all of the luggage, and I even packed the camera and the tripod and the podcast mic and everything, something hit me when I got to Mexico. And if you haven't been to Mexico, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I was over in Rosarito and Ensenada and Puerto Nuevo and just a couple other places. And no Tijuana, but I was over there. At least I had to pass through. And I have some friends, they're all like, oh, Baja Mexico is not real Mexico, right? But it was so different for me being outside of the U.S. and just being able to have this experience. And one of the things that began to occur to me as I crossed the border from the United States into Mexico was the shift and the change in the pace and the energy that was in the air. The pace felt different. It felt slower. It felt calmer to me. And I finally began to become aware, as I was in this state of relaxation, I finally became aware of the fact that I was so tired and that I was worn out. And it wasn't until I allowed myself to be put into a space for rest that I had a revelation of my need for recreation. And so I want to ask that question to you today. Do you have a revelation of your need for recreation, or are you so busy running your soul into the ground? Okay. And some of you guys might be looking at me saying, hey, Joseph, listen, I got a balanced life. Okay. Like I've got a balanced schedule and I've got, I have time for my busy stuff. I have time for my friends. I have time for everything else that's going on. But is your soul taking time for recreation? Because let's be real. We can sit around and we can watch Netflix or Apple TV, or we can play our favorite video games, or we can go out and, take a vacation and kind of numb our minds. But are we finding ways to refresh ourselves? Is your soul being refreshed? Is your spirit being refreshed? And I think I had to come to terms with that a little bit on this trip, was to take some time and ask myself, am I giving back to the vehicle of my life, which is my mind, my soul, my spirit, and my body? Am I taking care of myself? And so I want to introduce this thought to you. Maybe you've been having it, maybe you've been thinking about it, but I want to introduce this thought to you of slowing. Sometimes slowing is growing. Sometimes taking time to slow down actually speeds up the process of growth in your life. And you might say to me, Joseph, I don't have the time to do this. I don't have the time to slow down. I'm working 2 to 3 jobs right now. I'm taking care of a sick family member. I'm starting my own business, and I'm on the hustle grind mode, right? Like, maybe this podcast isn't the one to speak to you. Maybe you're listening to Diary of a CEO or Alex Hormozy, all of which great people, by the way. I enjoy their podcast, but I do believe that in some ways we have sold ourselves this belief, or we've allowed ourselves to be sold this toxic, inhumane, unhelpful belief that the constant pursuit of more and the constant pursuit of success and the constant pursuit of accumulation is actually going to heal and to feed our broken soul. And it's so fascinating to me because it wasn't until I put myself in a position to recognize the very rest that was right in front of me, to see it, to feel it, to taste it, to touch it. It wasn't until I put myself in that position that I all of a sudden became aware of the fact that I was draining my battery. It's like when you have your phone open, right? And you have all of these different applications that are open and your phone is dying, and yet you're trying to plug your phone in and you're trying to use your phone, but you need it to charge. How are you going to get that? And I think in so many ways we run ourselves ragged. We run ourselves empty and tired. And we're dealing with our own emotional expectations. We're dealing with the weight of expectations that people have for us, that maybe our parents have, that our culture has, our friends have. Maybe we're seeing our friends get married. Maybe we're seeing things happen for other people, and we feel like there's some sort of a disconnect. We're trying to figure out, why are these things not happening for me? But can I submit to you today that maybe the hustle that you're running in is contributing to the hurt that you're experiencing? Can I submit to you that your rush isn't causing you to reach higher? It's actually slowing you down. Can I submit to you that maybe the grit that you think you have and the grind that you're on is actually grinding you to a halt, and you're not stopping to take a minute to listen and really hear what's going on in the recesses of your soul? If you're a person of faith today, you might be listening to this and saying, maybe I've not been able to hear God as clearly as I want to because I'm so pulled apart, which is the definition of distraction. I'm so pulled apart in multiple directions. I can't tell the difference between my left and my right, because of the fact that it feels like a piece of me is pulled apart in both of these conflicting, confusing directions. And my strength feels contrived rather than canon to my soul. Maybe that's what you're going through today. Maybe the champion within you feels counterfeit. Maybe the hero that you look at in the mirror that everyone else sees appears hideous when a second examination is taken. Maybe you're afraid because instead of truly believing in what you can bring to the table, you're seeking and bathing in the affirmations of another and living for the approval of others when you know if one split second happened and you did something wrong, you would die by their rejection. Maybe you're racing and you're living your life in a way that is hurry, 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 deadline, 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 process, process, process. And you're not actually giving something authentic to your project because you're not experiencing the process. We have lost the art of rest in our culture. And it becomes so apparent when you go overseas, when you go to other places where rest is part of the norm. It becomes so apparent that we've lost that art. But what if we could get it back? The first morning of our trip, because we arrived there in the evening, last Tuesday evening, we arrived there. And I remember that morning I got up and I walked outside and I just was like, I'm going to listen to some music and I'm going to take a walk on the beach. And I'm going to have a moment of prayer. And I just started opening it up. And if you're not religious, I'm not a religious person either, FYI. But I, as many of you know watching this, I did grow up in the church. I don't shy away from that. And for me, I'm more about authenticity than I am the augmented reality that church has created in many ways for Christians or believers that are trying to live this life just like you and I. And I just had to take a moment where, my soul, it just didn't feel right. Like something felt unsettled within me. So I just took a walk on the beach and I was just talking to God, just like I'm talking to you right now. And I was like, listen, just show me where I'm wrong. I'm struggling to believe right now in a lot of this, being frank. But if I'm wrong, if it's possible that I'm wrong, show me where I'm wrong. And I can't tell you the level of I can't tell you the level of peace that I found in that moment. And I'm not going to say that it was like some instantaneous, just like instant oats, peace, right? Like you just put it in there, cook it, warm it up, boom. But it was a gradual progression of feeling as if through the just analysis, the self-analysis that I was having with myself, the allowing of an examination of my soul and really contemplating what I'm doing and where my life has been. It was in that moment that I felt a weight lift off of my shoulders. And I think we're too pressured to have it all together. I think we're so busy chasing and seeking the approval of others, whether it's indirect or whether it's blatant approval, whether it's through somebody telling us we did a great job or whether it's through other people validating the success that we appear to have. I think we are so overwhelmed, especially at this age and stage of our lives. We're so overwhelmed and obsessed with this need to be right, this need to be in the right place, this need to hit markers that many times are artificial. These are artificial deadlines that we are creating for ourselves. And I just wonder, what if instead of us creating artificial deadlines and plot lines and posts for ourselves, that we really took some time to take a step back and evaluate our own capacity? What if we retreated not to defeat, but to rest? What if instead of running away, we retreated to reload and come back better, stronger human beings that are more capable of doing bigger accomplishments, having bigger accomplishments, and doing greater than what we ever thought was possible? All because we decided to take a moment and acknowledge that we have things that are broken in our life. And without the maintenance of the internal, you cannot have the success of the external. Without auditing the condition of your heart, you can't experience the growth of your life. And the entire trip, I just came to grips with this reality that this life, this pursuit, this endless chase, the peace is not in the destination. The creativity and the rest is not in the production and the end result of something. That's all great. There's beauty in that. Don't get me wrong. There's wonder in that. There's wonder in creating something that you feel proud of and beating deadlines and creating something that can leave a legacy from your family. But we have to ask ourselves an honest question. Are we creating from a place of peace or comparison? Are we creating from a place of strength? Or are we comparing ourselves to every single benchmark, every social media post that has a bunch of likes and follows? What are we doing? What are we reaching for? Those are questions that we have to ask ourselves. And so I just want to encourage you today, if you are finding yourself struggling and you feel like you're behind and everything that you're doing is right, you're just hustling and working hard and doing everything that you think is the right way to achieve stuff, but you're not seeing success, can I submit to you today, and it's very man of me to do this, to compare this to a car, of course, but can I submit to you today, maybe there's nothing wrong with the tires on your car. You may not have a scratch of anything on the body of the paint on the body of the car. Your car may be washed, vacuumed, smelling beautiful. You may have gas in the tank. You might just need to change your oil. Maybe you're running without oil. And because of that, it is contributing to your lack of strength. You know, some people say and specifically in the belief system that, I grew up in, that the oil is symbolic of God's blessing or anointing on our lives. And whatever you believe out there, I just want to tell you that if you do not have, like if you don't have some sort of relationship with God in your life, some sort of communication, if you look at this big world that we have, and I'm not trying to preach you today, but I want to be honest with you. If you can look at this grand world that we live in and you believe that all of this is just man-made and that our point of origination does not have a point of origination by which we came into existence, I would like to submit to you, you may not agree with everything that's going on in the church or the religious world, but can I submit to you that you might want to look deeper, and that maybe all of your efforts and trying to force things to happen in and of yourself, you might be missing the fact that there is a higher power that is greater than yourself. And you trying to force everything to happen on your own. There are things that we cannot explain that happens in this life, that we cannot articulate. And because of that, if we can't explain certain things as human beings, and if there is a God out there, if there is a higher power, let's just assume we believe that, wouldn't you want to at least know or try to know more about what's happening? And more importantly, be connected to the source of life? I think it's worth considering. Because as human beings, I think there's only certain things that we can do. There's only so much we can do within our own power and belief. And I believe that sometimes our pursuit in and of ourselves, trying to get things done, sometimes I believe that God will allow our lives and our plans to be frustrated so that he can show us that with him, we can go even further, and with sometimes less grit and grind and pressure on our lives than we could if we did it in our own strength. And so I just want to submit to you right now, what are some areas in your life that you're hustling and grinding, and you can feel the brakes almost, so to speak? You hear them screeching, and you feel the grind taking place. You feel the wear down, but you just keep going. You keep going. You keep going. Oh, I won't take care of that now. I'm not going to do that right now. That's not super important. I'll get to it later. And it's grinding. It's grinding. And eating at the stability and the strength in your life. Where are some areas where you're like, you know what? If I'm being real, Joseph, I'm not good. Everybody thinks I'm good because they see what I post on socials and they look at what I'm doing and they think it's great. But really, I'm suffering. Because me and my homies on the trip, we had some real conversations amongst ourselves. And it was the last morning that we were in Mexico, and we sat down and we talked, and it just came from an honest conversation that we had about what we're all struggling in our lives. But I guarantee you that real conversation wouldn't have opened up if all of us didn't decide to take some time away and to rest and be real with one another. And that strengthened our friendships. So I want to encourage you today. Take a look. Take a look into the spots in your life and be real with yourself. Be real with yourself and be open, because you never know. Even if things are going really slow today and it seems like it's not going anywhere, you never know that by a moment of you taking a step back, retreating to reload, removing yourself to recuperate and get that revelation, it can completely change the trajectory, the pacing, and the speed at which you succeed. And all that comes by stopping to listen, stopping to hear that voice inside, stopping to take a look at the landscape around you, and being honest with yourself. Sometimes we're looking for a breakthrough, but we're not willing to take a break. And the key word there is to break. Sometimes it takes a break, but it also takes a break. Sometimes it takes a breaking in our lives for us to see another way through what we thought was concrete and to pursue and go in that direction with a newfound sense of vigor and strength and courage. I want to invite you into that today. What are you battling with? What are you struggling with? Where do you feel uncertain, uneasy, unsettled? Let me know. Go ahead and shoot me a DM at _fullcirclepod on Instagram and at fullcirclepod on TikTok. Also, as I said before, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, follow, and share this with all your friends. And share with me what's going on with your life. I can't wait to read your comments and talk to you more about it. That is all the time that I have for today. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. As I always say, have a great one from your favorite brother. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.